Hey everyone, Brandon here. With the Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door remake coming out recently, my brain has been whirring with ideas for new party members that Mario could have on his journey, which Nintendo is already considering doing according to this survey. So maybe in some kind of third installment of the Paper Mario RPG style, we could get more. So, who would you meet on this journey? Well, in the starting area of Big Bustle City, a magnificent mushroom metropolis, you would meet your Goombario or Goombella equivalent, Goombro. Foongoos is who I cooked up all these partner ideas with and who actually approached me with this concept, so make sure to check them out and thank them for inspiring this video, link in the description. So unlike the original two Goombas, Goombro is a Goombrat. This enemy type first appeared in New Super Mario Bros. U and has appeared in quite a few Mario games since. I think that having a slight alteration to the formula of the first two games would not only be a fun change, but help bring in aspects of modern Mario games. Anyway, enough design philosophy. Y'all probably want to know more about Goombro's personality with a name like that. What Goombella was to the collegiate academic girly, Goombro is to the typical college dude bro, in which he uses both of those words like a form of breathing. Also, those abs are most definitely drawn on. But he is your tattle partner, so in spite of his douchey nature, he's actually quite knowledgeable about the world around him and its inhabitants. A real subversion of his trope. You would get tattle entries like, "Yeah dude, that's a Goomba or whatever. Goombrats are better looking if you ask me. They're pretty lame sauce bro. Only got 2 HP, 1 attack, and 0 defense. You can jump on their head or bonk them with your hammer. I kinda feel bad for them. Not everyone can have a chiseled jawline like me." His battle abilities would be your standard bonk and tattle, along with the super rank multi-bonk, and his ultra rank ability gives Mario a second turn, like Goombella, which I'm calling Rally Flex, in which Goombro flexes his impressive muscles. For your next companion, we would have yet another twist on the formula set by Kooper and Koops. You would meet your Koopa companion at Gusty Green's country club and golf course. So here is Hammett, an old curmudgeon-y hammer bro. But instead of a hammer, he has a golf club. Hammett would have a thick Scottish brogue and a "get off my lawn" attitude to match, but in a funny, endearing kind of way. So with Hammett being an old hammer bro, he has experience being different kinds of bros. Hammer, boomerang, etc. So his golf club can act like both. In the overworld, this looks like Kooper and Koops' shell toss ability, except it's the golf club being thrown out like a boomerang to hit switches, retrieve items, and so on. It can also be thrown up like a hammer to knock down items that are too high and far for Mario to retrieve, even using his Ultra Boots. But Brandon, the X button is the only one that uses partner actions. How would you have two different partner abilities in the overworld? Well, you know what button is tragically underused in this game? The Y button. It is pretty much only used for the airplane and boat papercraft abilities. So when not using those two specific panels, why not have it serve another purpose? So the X button would be used for Hammett's club to act like a hammer, and then the Y button for it to act like a boomerang. Oh, and for Goombro's Y button ability, he would body block the enemy, flexing his muscles to guard you from harm if you don't feel like fighting the enemy at that moment. This isn't 100% guaranteed to work, but does help against those lower level enemies. As far as battle abilities, Hammett's standard attack would just be like Mario's hammer attack. For his other abilities, he would have Club Toss, which mechanically works like Yoshi's Egg Toss, in which you can hit up to 3 enemies with golf clubs, though it doesn't have any added effect outside of damage. His super rank ability would be Clubberang, which throws his club out to hit enemies for 2 damage each, and on a successful action command it will return, hitting the enemies for an additional 2 damage. His ultra rank ability would be called Bro Beatdown, in which he summons the abilities of a bunch of different bro variants, specifically the Fire, Ice, and Bomb bros, with the Fire and Ice balls bouncing to hit a couple enemies, possibly setting them on fire or freezing them, and the bomb exploding with an area of effect, kind of like Bobbery's mini time bombs. If you're enjoying this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and leave a comment. This is very much a different kind of video for me, so showing your support on this tells me you want to see more of this concept, which I definitely have more ideas for. After finishing up at Gusty Green's, we would head to the Bramblevine Jungle to meet our next partner, Vinessa. She is a sassy nature spirit that protects the jungle from intruders looking to do it harm. We very much tried to channel the energy of Flurry into this design, with her being another elemental. You could kind of think of them as sisters in a way. The Paper Mario games have certain new species of partners that are exclusive to the series, such as Flurry, Vivian, Watt, and even Miss Mouse. So I wanted to include a few of those amongst Mario's new partners. Vinessa is a sculptor. She loves to craft interesting and unique things using her vines, which before meeting her you would find a bunch of her creations all over the Bramblevine Jungle. She would very much also have a crush on Mario, as many of the girl characters in the series tend to. Those big old lips were definitely made for kissing. Speaking of, her super rank ability would be Lip Lock just like Flurry. Her standard attack would be a slap from her viney hip arms. Her base ability would be Tangle, in which she would summon up vines from the ground, damaging and trapping an enemy for a turn. Her ultra rank ability would be Bramble Cage, which would act like Koops' shell shield, protecting Mario and Vanessa from damage, but since it's brambly, any enemy who attacks it physically would take 3 damage. As far as overworld abilities, the Y button would just be her Tangle ability, which would trap enemies in place so you can jump on them or hit them with your hammer for an easy first strike. For the X button, her sculptor background would come into play, as there would be things missing in the overworld, such as ladders, bridges, and boxes to put on top of switches. Thus, Vanessa would be able to sculpt them using her vines. Leaving the Bramblevine jungle, we would head to the Torch Volcano, more specifically heading to the Torque Speedway, which is in the middle of its annual Torch Championship race series. Different expeditious enemies would be here, including Koopa the Quick, Piantissimo, a Chivarian, Cosmic Mario, somehow, and even the Yoshi Kid we hatched in the Thousand Year Door. But the character we're here to meet is Speedy Bill. He is a Bullseye Bill, also known as a Missile Bill, and he claims to be the fastest thing this side of the kingdom, wanting to prove it by winning the championship. A real Lightning McQueen type personality. Speedy Bill would act as our Bombette or Bobbery equivalent, with his Y button overworld ability being able to run into and explode cracked walls. His X button ability would be hopping on his back and riding him like Yoshi or Spike. Given he's a Bill, he can fly straight over any gaps or pits so you can access new areas. Like Yoshi, he wouldn't be able to fly over them forever, or that would be absolutely broken. For battle abilities, his standard attack would be ramming into enemies and exploding. His standard ability would be racing through all the enemies in a line, torching them with his jet fire along the way, giving them a chance to be burned. His super rank ability summons a bunch of Bullseye Bill friends, who would be launched out of 3 cannons lined up vertically, heat-seeking each enemy and exploding into them. His ultra rank ability would be transforming into a King Bill, mowing down enemies and potentially knocking them off the stage. From there, we would actually head under the sea to the underwater civilization of Carapos to meet our next companion, Princess Shelina Caradia Caraposa III, but you can just call her Shelly for short. As her title implies, she is the Princess of Carapos, a bit on the young and innocent side. She doesn't know much of the world outside her underwater home, and is very curious about what lies out there beyond the ocean's surface. She is yet another original species to Paper Mario, known as a Caraposian, kind of like a shrimp mermaid. As an aquatic species, her X button would help you venture across the water's surface, much like Sushi did in the original Paper Mario and the boat Papercraft did in the Thousand Year Door. This removes a Papercraft ability, but I have other ideas for new Papercraft abilities, so once again, show some support on this video if you would like to see a follow-up. Anyway, Shelly's Y button would basically be like Water Gun, which could push heavy objects, make things like water wheels turn to lift gates, push enemies away, etc. Her standard attack would be a multi-slap from her tail, akin to Yoshi's ground pound. Her standard ability would be that Water Gun, which hits 1 or more enemies depending on how well you charge the move. Her super rank ability would be a beam of bubbles that blast out at the enemy, potentially trapping them in those bubbles up in the air for a turn, or until you jump on them. When they are released from the bubble, if they're land-based, they drop to the ground and take a few extra points of damage. Her ultra rank ability would be the same as Sushi's Tidal Wave, summoning a gigantic wave of water that hits all enemies on the field. Now we move from a very wet place to a very dry place in the Chroma Desert, a vast, beautiful, multicolored wasteland. Though we're looking for the Chroma Art Institute, where we would find our next companion, Timothy Montague Mole, or just Tim. He is the director of the Institute's fashion department and is very much a gay icon. In fact, our grumpy Koopa friend Hammett develops quite the crush on Tim throughout the rest of the game, who softens that hard shell of his. I figured we just got some great trans representation with Vivian in the Thousand Year Door, so why not add a little bit more queer representation? With it being Pride Month, I felt it fitting. Happy Pride, everyone! Tim will definitely make critiques about different people's outfits throughout the game, including your party members. Being a mole, he can bury himself underground and can bring Mario along with him, which would both be an overworld and standard battle ability. It would act very much like Vivian's Veil, except in the overworld you can actually move around, so you can go under objects or certain walls to discover new secrets. Tim's standard attack would be from his big old scissors, which given this is a paper world is a very dangerous move to have. This move has the possibility to stun opponents for a turn while they stitch themselves back together after getting snipped. His super rank ability would be called Fashion Sense. That would make action commands for both Mario and himself easier for a couple turns. His ultra rank ability would be like Yoshi's Stampede, summoning a bunch of moles to pop up out of the ground from underneath the enemies. Then we would go from the desert to high up in the Shroud Cloud Mountains, finding ourselves the Ninja Temple and our next companion, Ginny. She's a bit out there for a ninja with her bright and colorful attire. She very much loves all things cute and is inspired by Harajuku girls, Sanrio characters, and all things kawaii. She wants to change what it means to be a ninja because databeyo, that's her ninja way. Her overworld abilities would be that the Y button gives you vision in the dark and helps find secrets, given her adeptness in the shadows, and the X button would be a Shurikute, what Ginny calls her shurikens. You can use them to hit bullseyes that would activate a variety of things throughout the game. Her standard attack would be the Shurikutes, which have a chance to charm the opponent and confuse them. Her standard ability would be a slice from her Cutana, which is what she calls her katana. In very anime fashion, she would streak across the stage past the enemies, with them being sliced the second after she clicks her Cutana back into its scabbard. Her super rank ability would be a substitution jutsu cast on either Mario or herself for a turn. If either of them are hit, they will be replaced by a pink cloud of smoke and a log, reappearing above the enemy and bonking them on the head for a couple points of damage, which you would have to watch out for spiky enemies while using this ability. Her ultra rank ability would be a bomb Shurikute jutsu, sending her flying over the enemies, raining down bomb-loaded Shurikutes upon them. And then that brings us to an optional partner for Mario in this game, that, much like Miss Mouse, you would see throughout your journey. So meet Polly Piranha, with her nickname being PJ the DJ. You would see her around different towns and areas throughout the game, and she would offer to remix the music of the area you are listening to. You would also be able to play classic tracks across the Mario franchise after collecting records you can find throughout the game. You would be able to access the mission to get her as a companion after meeting Shelly, and her Y button move allows you to change or remix a track whenever you want. Her X button move would have her sing along to whatever is playing. This would not only be super cute, but can also put enemies to sleep in the overworld, which is kind of a repeat of Vinessa's Tangle ability, but hey, Polly is optional for a reason. Her standard attack would be a big old chomp of the enemy, with her standard ability being Sing, which can put one or more enemies to sleep, like the Crazy Daisies do. Her super rank ability would be a poison breath that damages and can poison multiple enemies. And her ultra rank ability would be to summon a big old tornado, just like her dear old dad Petey could make. This would fling enemies up into the air, hitting them for a few points of damage while in the tornado, and then some when they fall to the ground, all the while mixing up the order in which they are placed in battle. And those are what some new Paper Mario partners could look like. Thanks so much to our incredible members, which you can see on screen for supporting the channel through their hard-earned money, which you can also do by hitting that join button. Thanks so very much for watching, and I will see you all next time.